Welcome everybody. This is Mr. Femi Olanipekun, and we've both experienced our journeys in different dimensions, in different parts. So I think I started the entrepreneurship, while earlier. So I learned my own lessons the hard way. Then while I was in the entrepreneurship journey, I think I was about maybe 8 years in before he started his own. And he was also making some giant strides in the 9 to 5. And I think in a true sense of it, none of these sections is really bad, either staying in 9 to 5 or both of them have their strengths and weaknesses. So I think this evening we'll be having real candid conversations, because you will make your decision based on the parameters we present before you. When I called him up and said, Femi, please, so next Sunday you'll be speaking about transition from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. Femi told me point blank that what is it? What is what transition in there? That in fact he's looking at people looking for other opportunities to jump the ship, and I told you that okay, I think it's the phase you are in. After 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you will balance out and you will be baptized with the true baptism of entrepreneurship. But Femi is still very much qualified to explain this transition. Femi is one of the major founding team in a lot of tech startups, especially in the fintech space. He has built a lot of products. I think at some point was a product manager at Flutterwave. So Femi has been with Pay with Capture, Flutterwave, several fintechs and in the industry before he started his own fintech, which is Veend. Building an infrastructure for lending. You know, not those kind of lending that they will send SMS to your ancestors and your in-laws, but something around building a tech end-to-end, so that you as a lender can come to the platform, put in your funds, and let the system, let AI, let a lot of complicated things decide who you should give your money to and how you get your money back. So I think I've tried to blow a strong pet, although I didn't read these qualifications out. Femi decided not to release that, but we'll just hand over to him. And so welcome, Mr. Femi, and we are glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Nauri. It's nice to be here. Thank you very much. Now, just like I said, when I heard I was going to present this session, I was like, okay, why would you want to leave your 9 to 5 job to start entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
Because
just entrepreneurship doesn't close. There's no closing.
You don't close. You get to work 9 to infinity, right? So it's something you have to really have some set of skill, the mindset, in order for you to jump into that, right? So but first, so I have like some key notes here that I will go through, because I would like this conversation to be a bit structured.
Okay. But
before we get into the structured parts, right, everybody here is an entrepreneur, right, by default. So my own definition of entrepreneur is someone who solves a problem, right, who creates value, right, by solving a problem and then make some, let's say, revenue from that, right? So it's as simple as that. Today, everybody is either in a particular 9 to 5. If you think about yourself, if you think of yourself as an entrepreneur, that means you are solving a problem where you are. If you are, let's say, a graphics designer, you are solving a problem of, let's say, presentation, right? And then you get paid for that, right? Now, the more you do that, right, and the more you know that you are doing this for yourself, right, by yourself, not just because someone paid you to do it or someone asked you to do it, you already have that mindset, right? So I just want to start from that, right? So first, let me introduce myself, right? I'm Olufemi. I'm the CEO at Veend, right? Like Nauri said,
Veend HQ.
I've been in the startup environment for quite a while. I started as a software engineer, right, at a dev shop, moved on to join a company called One Credit to build Pay Later, which was the first version of Carbon, right? Everyone knows Carbon today. Then moved on to build Pay with Capture for Access Bank, and then to Flutterwave to build Flutterwave, moved on into product management, right? And then started a dev shop in 2020, launched Veend HQ in 2021, right? So far, with Veend HQ, we've served around 390,000 customers and have disbursed loans of up to $20 million, right, on behalf of the lenders on the platform, right? So technology continues to drive innovation and shape industry. So it's really, really important that we get more people into that fold, right? More people building stuff intentionally, right? Looking at the problem and solving it, right? And the halo of independence and creativity that comes with entrepreneurship, right?
Yes,
You being able to
flexibility.
do what really comes into your mind, right? It's really appealing to a lot of people, and I know that's why some of us are here. We are here today. So entrepreneurship, right? For you to get into that, let's call it a vibe, right? You have to have a mindset shift, a shift in your mindset, right? So one, I already said, everybody is an entrepreneur. The only difference here is one, the mindset. If you have the employee mindset, right, it means you want a structured environment, right? There is a list of things to do, right? There is really not a lot of effort, right, in terms of thinking ahead or thinking about the future. You just know that this is what I need to do. I need to design this, I need to build this, and then I'm done, right? But there needs to be a shift from that mindset. So transitioning from a 9-to-5 job to becoming a tech entrepreneur, right, requires a really, really big mind shift, right? So as an employee who is used to a structured environment, right, with predetermined tasks, right, you have to now change to a mindset of taking risks, right, being adaptable, right, and the ability to navigate uncertainty. One thing that is constant every single time as an entrepreneur is uncertainty, right? If you launch a product today, the regulators can come after you and say, this product you can't launch it, or you need to shut down, right? You have to have that mindset of being adaptable. Like when you find a problem, instantly you change, right? Instantly you adapt, right? And you have to be able to take risk. Entrepreneurship in itself, right? When you choose to leave your main job, that's risk number one. By the way, it doesn't make sense to leave your 9-to-5 job. We all know it makes no zero sense.
Maybe right? Except you've raised some millions of dollars already.
No.
Starting.
Even if you've raised, because let's say you earn a 500k every month, right? Or let's even say 150k every month, whether your boss makes money or not,
your salary is constant.
Your salary is constant,
non-negotiable. You
right?
can even review upwards.
As the owner of the business, as the entrepreneur, whether the business makes money or not, you have to pay your staff.
You're on the other side.
If you don't pay your staff, right, it is a crime. But as the business owner, if you don't pay yourself, nobody cares, right? Nobody really.
You just say you have passion.
It's your passion, right? Did somebody tell you to leave your 9-to-5? No. So you have to understand that risk taking. So we can say, take calculated risks. Risk is risk.
In fact, I think your conversation now brought entrepreneurship to me in a different light. Because what you're saying now, it was almost like marriage when you live to cleave.
Yes.
So you leave the safety of your family, your father, your mother, to take a risk, getting married, and you are now responsible.
Yes, you're responsible for the whole team.
For the new team, yes. So
yes.
I think that's a similar comparison, yeah.
So you have to have that mindset of taking risk, right? I would say calculated risks, but calculated risk is just so that it looks good on the slide. Risk is risk is
investors,
right? Risk is still risk, right? So you have to have this personality of being resilient, right? A lot of times, right, when you are building your company or your product, right, you face issues. Sometimes 99% of the time the initial idea you have is totally wrong. Right. Yes. I personally have come up with a culture, right? I have a culture where whatever I'm doing, I first of all consider it wrong, right? With the hope that every day I become less wrong, right? So you have to have that spirit of resilience, right? Determination, right? Continuous thirst for learning, right? You need to continue to learn, because if you see that it's not working, perhaps you don't have the knowledge, right? Perhaps you need to go and learn more. Perhaps you need to get on Google, right? Perhaps you need to register for a course, or you need to call your mentor or somebody, right? If you have a mentor, right? So you have to have that mindset, and you have to be open to failure, right? You have to see failure as a stepping stone, right? It's a step to what we call it, to the next stage, right? And then you see it as you see challenges as opportunities, right? Normally, a normal individual won't celebrate failure, right? If you're at a job and you fail at something, there's going to be a backlash for that. Yeah. But as an entrepreneur,
you learn quickly,
right? You learn quickly
and pick the next strike,
to the point where sometimes you see failure happening, like you see it. So maybe people working with you, the way they do things, you start seeing it that, oh, we are failing already, right? And you need to quickly act, right? So that's about the mindset shift.
To just to add a little note to what you said about failure. I remember the early days in our company, and one of the biggest things to set up a business is getting the team right.
Yeah.
And I think almost most times your first 2, 3, 4 hires, it's hard to get it completely right. So I think after you failed and you've hired some set of wrong people, it almost becomes like a kind of intuition that, in fact, when your HR recommends and you're interviewing, as persons give you the responses, you already cast, oh, this person's like this person. You've connected the dots. Oh, yeah. This cannot work. Oh, this is good. And you've judged the person based on something that's not really. Yes, you can have your SOP, your operations, your procedure, but those failures, they build some kind of internal AI. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Your decision making, your engine is fine-tuned.
A defense system.
So when somebody comes and pitch an idea to you, just like an investor, and you've invested in a business in a particular part, this is exactly what they told you, this is what they promised you. Oh, okay, let me make a typical example. If you have been a victim of a Ponzi scheme before, the next time you see a Ponzi scheme, you will know. If you are smart, you know that this is another Ponzi scheme about to happen. And I think that's one of the beauties of entrepreneurship, that whenever you've made a mistake in a part, it can even be on the customer side. When the customer starts a phrase, there are some phrases that have some triggers in my mind. That whenever a customer uses that phrase, I just tell myself that this is wahala. Run. Even if it's $1 million project, once I hear that phrase, because I've heard it over and over again, I have tested those kind of customers with that kind of phrase, and I know that it will not end in praise. So I just move on to some other things.
Yeah, I think that also brings me to something. I think that's something I didn't note previously was, and it is, you have to know yourself, right? And it's actually part of learning, right? Being an entrepreneur allows you to explore
who you are,
right?
Yes, your strengths
you can take. So most of the time as an entrepreneur, you're going to take a lot of things that you don't like, right? You're going to accept some things you don't like, but you need to identify when you are actually just accepting it, right? Just taking it, versus when like it is unacceptable. So for example, you have to have a parameter of the people you can work with, right? So yes, I agree, diversity is great, right? But there are just some people that won't be a great culture fit, either with the existing team you have, or yourself, right? So it's something you also learn, right? It's just like, for example, if I ask a couple of us to introduce yourself, you're probably going to say, oh yes, I'm a product manager, I'm a this, right? Instead of saying your achievements and all those things, right? People don't learn that until you are now in the position where it's a must to put yourself in a good light, right? To really brag about your accomplishment, about what you've done. Same thing with this case. Until you now have to ensure that the people who work with you are comfortable, right? They are compatible, right? You don't you that's when you know that Mr. XYZ cannot, no matter how good Mr. XYZ is, right? If Mr. XYZ comes into the mix of these people I have, right?
To scatter the whole thing.
This whole thing will scatter. Yeah.
So to reiterate now, the first thing you are saying is that before you start the entrepreneurship journey, first you need to have a mind shift to problem solving mindset. So every problem you see around, you are thinking about a solution. The second thing you said, the baptism of risk management.
Yes.
That you should be ready to take risk, because entrepreneurship by itself, the definition of entrepreneurship is risk.
Yeah.
Now the third thing you're mentioning now is about building a team and talking about the culture.
Yes, talking about that's still way along the line. You are going to so that one's you're always going to learn.
Yes, that one's an endless
continuous learning, right? But then you have to see failure as
failure,
right? You have to see challenges as opportunities, right? If there's no problem, entrepreneurs won't exist.
That's
so
true.
When you see a problem, be happy, right? Because that's something that can make you money. That's something that can take you to the next level. It's an opportunity for you, right? So the next thing I have here is identify your passion and your skill, right? Now, as an entrepreneur, you realize that you'll be doing a lot of things, right? You'll be at first, you might be the graphic designer, you might be the salesperson, you might be the software engineer, right? Every single thing. But you also need to know what you're passionate about, right? Which will also determine the type of problem you're solving. So you can't say you are passionate about acting and then you launch a fintech startup, right? It won't work, right? You have to know your passion, and this will come from all the times that you've worked for other people, right? I'm going to maybe talk about another thing where which is something I believe. For you to be a leader, right, you have to be a great follower, right? So you have to have been following. You need to be really good.
Whatever you do as an entrepreneur, you have built the premises where you are in your 9 to 5.
Exactly.
So you can't become an entrepreneur. So if you are not the kind of person that is dogged on solving a problem and staying there till you fix it, you see a problem, you do it shabbily, and you move on.
Yeah.
I decide that, I'm tired of this stress of 9 to 5. Like we said in the introductory part, that you are going from 9 to 5 to 9 to infinity.
Exactly.
So if you cannot solve it within 9 to 5, what's the assurance that you solve within 9 to infinity when there's no closing time? So for what you said now, it's very important that you already have that. You should have it in your toolbox already, that okay, I'm staying here till I get this thing done.
Yes, and even in terms of the way you work with people. So talking about being a follower, you have to be able to accept that somebody else is the leader, right? You have to be able to follow other people, make their plans work. So if you're an employee right now and you have issues following your leader, right, it's going to be tough, because at some point as an entrepreneur, you are going to have to follow your workers.
Yes.
Right? You are going to have to come down and just say, you are right. Right? Now let's give you the resources to do that. Right? And all you are saying is, yes, do it. Okay, I'm approving this budget, just go ahead. Right? If you have issues following, you won't be able to allow your head of engineer lead, right? Or your product managers lead, right? You are going to always...
So that will affect your delegation capabilities.
Yes, it will, and you won't be able to scale, right? That's just the tip of the problems you are going to have, because you still have to report to your board, right? You still have to report to a lot of people, right? So we were talking about something one day where we said, we are working for our staff.
yes. Right. That's really the truth.
Exactly.
That's really, yes. I think we had a conversation around that. So really, your staff are not working for you. You are working to make sure that they get paid.
Exactly. So you are working.
Yes.
For your staff. right? Once you become an entrepreneur, you're working for everybody. You're working for your customer. You're working for your investors. For
working
your
for the board,
right?
for the next presentation.
So, and you are the last person to get paid, right? There's no, hey, you did well. There's no compliment. There's nothing. It's just you, right? So let's get back from the gloomy pattern, right?
I got the beautiful conversations.
Yeah. So you need to explore your passion and skills, right? So one of the first step is identify what your passion is, right? The skill. Think about what really excites you, where your expertise lies, right? For me, for example, right, I've done fintech for a while. I've been in fintech startups all through. I've done lending, I've done payments, right? It's almost like my superpower currently, right? So I stuck with that. I'm a great software engineer, right? I can write code that works, right? I've written code that served millions of customers, right? That's my skill. Those are my passion, right? I can launch a startup in those two areas, but I can't launch a startup in let's say media, for example. It's going to suck, right? So just identify your passion, know your skill, right? Align your passions with the market demand, right? So don't just say, oh yes, I feel with great power comes great responsibilities, right? Your passions, right, are your power. Your skill, their powers. But you need to know when to apply it, right? So, for example, we already have Zoom, and simply because you can build a a new meeting app, right?
Yeah.
And you just say, oh, I'm launching a startup, and it's going to compete with Zoom. Guy, see, pack that thing. It's not going to challenge Zoom. Don't waste your time, right? It can be a pet project. It might be something you fancy. It can be part of your fantasy, but you need to know where the market is, right? You need to know your addressable market. What's there for you? What's serviceable? What's obtainable?
So I have a question. Although this is not a question time, but I think this should be supposed to be an interactive session. And so now you said that, okay, I should have the next bright Zoom idea, but I think when Facebook started, there was MySpace already.
Yeah.
But it solved social media from a different perspective. And there was Facebook, then Instagram came from a different perspective. There was WhatsApp came from the chats, and thanks to BBM. That gave WhatsApp the superpower. So are you saying that even if we have beautiful ideas in line of what's already existing, we should first shelve it? Or because yes, I know if I'm right or wrong, I think there will be a couple of persons in this meeting that have already seen successful tech ideas, and they want to follow those same. Okay, let me give a typical example. I think right now I know from the top of my head about 4 or 5 persons that are into digital training, tech tech skills acquisition. I can mention a couple of them. I don't want to mention names here, right? And when the first person went like, even one of my mentors, when he said, oh, now this is what I'm doing next, Oga, how come now this place? And I saw him going, and he's also winning big. And every single person that is going to that space, they have the similar narration. Oh, education in Africa, this, equipping them to become developers, blah 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 blah, and almost every single one is hitting the right notes. So how do we now balance that with, oh, I have an idea, I want to build the next Gmail, or I want to build the next Zoom? How do we? What makes it work? Is it that kind of industry allowed them to come into from multiple faces?
Yeah.
Or it's just sheer luck?
No, it's not luck. Sorry, guys. I don't think there's anything like luck. So,
but there's favor.
There's idea, there's markets, and there's execution.
Okay.
Idea alone, everybody has ideas, right? If you have an idea, believe it that 20 million other people has that exact same idea at that moment. So
whoever executes that,
right? Whoever executes, but execution alone won't cut it. The market, right? The market will determine who wins, right? So you need to know your addressable market. You need to know who you are serving. Now, And who is going to pay for it?
Okay.
Right? So there are some products in Nigeria today that will struggle simply because of the earning power of the average Nigerian. Right?
Yes, that's true.
I mean, currently the middle class is nowhere to be found in Nigeria currently.
They have
right? It's either the lower class, right, or the upper class, right? So, and the lower class, you have a lot of them. The upper class, just a few people, right? So, if we are going to build a product in Nigeria, right, that means you are building a consumer product.
Yeah, so
where
you are going for the numbers.
People, you are going for the numbers. So, you need to be able to execute, right, a numbers-based strategy, right? Or you need to be able to say, I'm targeting just the HNIs, and you charge for it, you bill for it.
Charge heavy.
You charge heavily, you understand? So you need to understand your passion. You need to understand the markets. So the example with Zoom, even Zoom, you need to understand the markets, right? Perhaps people in a particular country, they are still underserved by Zoom.
Okay.
I mean, you can move your idea to that particular country and you still get you're still going to be successful, right?
So if I find some set of persons interested in a cheaper alternative to Zoom and as functional as Zoom, are you saying that I have a green light, and as in they are willing to pay, they are ready to pay?
So
no, I'm not saying. I'm just. I'm talking for. Definitely, I know some people will resonate with me because okay, let me say this. I'm always very careful with this entrepreneurship journey because sometimes we just don't see some things coming. And okay, for example, you know me now. I've been in EdTech for over a decade now.
Yeah. And
literally, I've seen a couple of persons that have told me that EdTech would never rise in Nigeria. Have you seen any? So they gave me different examples, the market research and the likes. But you know, this stubborn passion thing still kept us in the line. But nobody knew COVID would come. But it's almost like COVID was like the cash cow that was like the windfall for a lot of EdTechs. And I think, thank God, we're already positioned in the markets for that season. And COVID was when our story was really rewritten. Like maybe we've been growing 2x. We started going like 10x, 20x. Like there was a massive growth. So, in my opinion, if I followed the instructions you're telling me, like, because I've just tried to be careful. They've told me that, oh, no, there's nothing for EdTech in Africa. There's nothing for EdTech in Nigeria. Oh, school management isn't part of your products. Forget it's dead on arrival. Yeah. And COVID taught us how to break it down, pivot, diversify, all of those things. And that's when, although we had to make a lot of heavy fine-tuning before we could. So it went down first, like really down, downsized, laid off, and all of that. Then we were able to pick up where we realigned our products and services. So, I want you to put maybe a small touchlight of hope. Because I know what I'm saying. Because if for example, another Zoom idea or another Facebook idea is out there, you can see now threads came out after Twitter. Different things. So maybe if there's any hope at the end of the tunnel, if you can let us know that hope. So apart from the dark, long tunnel stretch. So that's what I wanted to say.
All right. Yeah. So for the Zoom idea, right? I won't say price should be the differentiator, right?
Okay. Yes, definitely. It's not a safe.
Definitely.
Zoom can crash price.
The existing person can just choose to say yes, it's going to be free for the next 2 years, right? Or create some
cheaper version, like
some serial number that can be distributed via the internet, and everybody feels like yes, they're hacking Zoom unknowingly, right? So there is that. But talking about people telling you that it's not going to be successful, right? Entrepreneurship is a very it's your journey, right? It's your journey. It's let me say it's lonely. So you have to decide what you want to do. If somebody is telling you that this is not going to work, right? Again, you have to look at your passion. You have to look at your idea. You have to look at the markets, right? Sometimes your gut will tell you that in the next 5 years, this is going to be big. right? So you are still that person that needs to make that decision, right? But always remember the idea, market, right, and your execution. It's very, very important.
And let me go spiritual a little, because this is church. And I think at some point pastor will say something that some herbs grow by watering when they're watered by feet, like manual irrigation, while some grow from the rain from heaven, the abundance. And so it's not like you won't water, and it's not like you won't work hard. But when we are spirit beings and we are in line with our spirits, God will always give you that assurance, that thought, that peace in the midst of the storm. Even when that market is crashing, God can tell you to stay there. Even when, for example, I tell a couple of people that if you see any major, well-growing entrepreneur that is still in Nigeria now, there's something in the spirit realm that's telling them that stay in Nigeria. Because the default mind is that pack your bag to the land I will show you. But I think that's that place, because I still say that in the midst of all of those chaos, I still had some sort of peace that, okay, there's still something that will come out of EdTech in Africa. There's something that will come out of EdTech in Nigeria. So that place of the spirits, that's in place of prayer, that you just give you that peace. Then when you have that peace, as you execute, you just know. Even when the data, not like you won't follow data. Data will just guide, because like I said, we had to make some drastic changes. We had to pivot our product models, our pricing model, a lot of things changed. Before, it's not like the same thing that we're trying for several years, now suddenly worked. But that situation, when everything went down completely, it's like it opens some common sense. So
in that, I bet during that period, people will feel like, this guy does not know what he's doing at all. He's just trying everything.
Yes. When those products were coming up.
So I think one prayer for this would be to always ask for the gift of foresight, right? So for you to see. Once you are able to see, right, you become much more calmer, right? No matter what's going on, because you can see that, this is where the market is going. This is what's happening. This is where I'm going to be. This is where the competition is going to be. This is where they think is going, and I'm here, right? You'll be able to see. So if you can see, right, the best gift you can have as an entrepreneur is for you to be able to see, right, and then position yourself for what you see, right? So now, the next point I have here is doing market research, right? Market research.
Can they see your screen? Is your HDMI connected?
No, I removed it because I didn't know which screen I was sharing.
Okay, you can mirror it.
Yes, I wanted to share two screens.
Okay. All right.
So, market research, right? So, as a tech startup, you have to continue to research, right? You have to continue to gather insights, right, from your competition, from your customer, industry trend. What's the new thing right now? It's something coming in, right? Or, for example, there's this rave about AI. How is it going to affect the tech space?
How will it disrupt?
Right? If it's going to disrupt the tech space, you need to position yourself differently, right, and be ready. You understand? So it helps you to understand if your idea is viable, right, and how you are going to sell your services, right? So you need to know about the different ways of conducting your research. I'm a fan of physical interviews, right? Meeting customers, talking to them physically. Customers are not your friends and family, right? Not your wife, not your girlfriend, not your, you understand? Talk to neutral people. Customers. The definition of a customer is somebody who is willing to pay. Right, willing to pay here. So you need to first of all know,
with no emotional attachments.
Exactly. You need to first of all know, is this person willing to pay for this product? Right. An hack is putting it out there for sale even before it's ready. How many people is willing to buy this? Oh, you are willing to buy. Then talk to them. Why? This. Why do you want to buy? How do you solve this problem previously? What's the hardest part of solving this problem? Right. Talk to your customers, right, and analyze your competition. Know what the competition is doing, right? From the customer feedback you have, right, try to find out what's your competition doing. How do they interact with the competition? Why is the competition not solving this? Okay, now that is your opportunity. Once you are able to find the biggest pain, right? The biggest problem for your customers, and you're able to solve it, and you confirm that they are willing to pay for it. There are some problems that are not painful enough for the customer to pay for. Right? Don't go and waste your time, right? Ensure that they are willing to pay for it. You understand? Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is, now after doing your research, right, be a proper businessman. Come up with a business plan, right? Know your financial projection. Know what you are going to. I'm still going to talk about finance, because as an entrepreneur,
that was very important.
Finance is
how would the money start?
Exactly. Your personal finance, the business finance, right? So, but the business plan also helps you plan the finance for the company. You need to know, in the next 5 years, where am I going? You have to review it maybe every 3 months or every year. Every year is too long. Every 3 months. Even monthly, right? Am I hitting these targets? Am I hitting the numbers? Right? Is the market changing? If it's changing, right, you make a decision whether to persevere or to pivot. Right? Pivoting does not mean to drop the whole idea and move on. It might just be the way you charge your customers. It might be the way you execute. It might be breaking down your products into just molding the
might
business.
Even be focusing on the future.
Exactly, or just focusing on the future, right? So first, you need to draw up a well-structured business plan. If you don't know how to do that, you can get help, right? You need to look at your mission, vision, right? Your target market, right? The marketing strategy, financial projection, your growth plans, right? You need to do that, and you need to be flexible with your plan. You need to be able to move when it's not working. Don't be sentimental. Don't be emotional, right? Don't say I've worked on this thing for 10 years or for 200 hours, right? Will I just drop it now? Oga, drop it, right? And move on. That should be your best job, your best skill, right? Just drop it and move on. No emotional attachment, right? And now, acquiring the necessary skill and knowledge. So I talked about passion and skill. Those are the skills you currently have, right? As an entrepreneur, you are going to have to do a lot of things. In the early days, you might be your own accountant.
Yes.
You might have to set up the GLs. You might have to do the balance sheet, right? You have to acquire skills for that, right? You have to continuously acquire skill, right? Staying updated in the latest technology trends, right? If you don't have a marketing person, you have to know what digital marketing is. If you don't have a software developer, at least you need to be able to use some local tools, right, to get started, right? If you need to do data analysis, maybe you need to go to Coursera to just learn what that's about, right? And it also helps you when you start hiring people, because you need to know what you're looking for, what they are doing, what you are even looking for, right? Yeah. So there are lots of learning resources online, right? You can attend workshops and the likes. Now, after doing that, you need to build your minimum viable products, MVP, right? Now, you need to start. So that's that point I made, where you need to find out if people are willing to pay for that product, right? It's easy to test that with an MVP. Let's say you've just developed a shoe, right, that can make people fly, right? Put the MVP out there.
Okay.
See, do people really want to buy shoes that can fly, that can make them fly? How much are they willing to pay for it? You understand? It allows you to test. If they're not willing to pay for it, maybe they just want the feathers and attach it to their existing shoes, right? You don't know, but the customers will tell you, right? The MVP allows you to do that, and it's just a basic version of your products or services with essential features to test the market and gather user feedback. You are not doing this to make money. First of all, you are gathering feedback, useful feedbacks, which you can then use to form your roadmap, right, to then build the actual product, right? So launching an MVP validates your idea, right? It identifies potential improvements you need to make, save time and resources by avoiding building a full-fledged product, right, that might not meet the market demand. Imagine if you want to build a Zoom again, and you build Zoom, it's fantastic, just like Zoom is today. You already know what the future is, right? And you launch it, and nobody uses the product, right? An MVP will allow you to know what future do people want that doesn't exist on Zoom today, and you lead with that, right? Now, building a support network. Again, entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. It's just you. You are your own man or woman, right? So you need to meet new people. At first, these new people will come as customers, right? Those first people that believe in you, right? So you need to have that support group, right? Surround yourself with like-minded people, right? People who share the same vision, right? People who can even contribute. Maybe those are your early advisors. People who can tell you that, oh, this is how you need to do it. This is how you need to do this, right? Who can provide guidance, inspiration, right, and opportunities for growth, right? Now, look for opportunities to network with other people, right? Attend events, right? Join a startup incubator if you need to.
Very important.
Right? Participate in online communities, reaching out to industry experts, right? Do all that. Now, managing finances, right? So transiting from a stable job to entrepreneurship comes with its own financial challenge. So you have to be somebody who is either strong financially or somebody who is just rugged, right? You just know that anyway, anyhow, you're going to make it, right? Now, being rugged might mean that you just know that with your skill, you're going to make it, and you just keep on getting projects that can get you going while you're working on your ideas, right? Out there, you become your own, should I call it your own woman soldier, right? So because there are a lot of period of uncertainty. Sometimes you will make money as an entrepreneur. Sometimes you will. Sometimes you will choose not to pay yourself, just so that hopefully in the next 3 months the company will be at a particular stage, and then you can pay yourself the arrears and continue to pay yourself, right? So you have to plan, right? That now you have to have a financial plan. You have to, so when you make money, not that you make money and then you spend. No matter how much you make, even if it is 50,000, you have to have a reserve, right? You have to say, okay, let's say 10% of my income goes to a reserve, right? And I only want to spend, let's say, 70% of my income. So that reserve continues to build
up,
right? So that anytime you don't make money, you can fall back to that and you are still good.
And I remember a conversation we were having some years back, and you were talking about financial war chest.
Yeah.
Can you remember that?
Yes.
And that conversation was around the red waters in business, where a competitor wants to go head on with you, and what is your own financial war chest to survive that war? And for example, mentioned about price crash. So if your competitor decides to crash price just to win the market, are you also financially capable enough to also go dolo and fight debt?
Yeah. So one thing about entrepreneurship is your competitors might decide to come after you, directly or indirectly, right? It might be a price war. It might be, let's just throw a few lawsuits at them, right?
To get them busy.
Now, part of your financial plan is to also prepare for that, which will also tell you whether to raise money or not. For example, if you are going to jump into a product like, let's even say Zoom, right? And you are in the US, and it suddenly looks like you are seeing a bit of success. I'm sure Zoom will come after you somehow.
Yeah.
Right? So let's even say Zoom crashes price today. You have to have enough money to say, I'm going to crash price, or I'm even going to start paying people to use my product. Right? You have to be able to go crazy, right? Just to survive, right? Because it becomes a war, literally, right? So you need a war chest, but not every idea needs that, right? It's not, especially, so most of the ideas that need such amount of money will be heavily regulated ideas,
fintech
where
space.
a competitor can just alert the regulator that, oh, do you check what this person is doing, right? Can you check? You understand? So you need to know, you need to plan your finances, personal and business, right? Especially now, if you are not from a finance background, it's always help to get a professional. So a friend who has done this, who is probably a CFO somewhere or an accountant, right? Get help. Finance is something. It's not something you play with, right? Because you might feel, oh, you figured it out, right? Or you feel like you have money in the bank. That money in the bank, if it's not in some kind of investment, you are losing money. There's that too, right? There are people who can really help you with this. So learn how to manage your finance. So it's essential to create a budget, right? Have a financial plan, right, to sustain yourself while building your startup, right? During the early stage, you might not be able to pay yourself, right? Now you can also seek funding if you see that, oh, with your projection, in order for you to reach this particular number, you need extra funding, or you need to spend this. If you don't have the money, you can also go out there to raise funds from angels, right, from venture capitalists, right? And if you are comfortable bootstrapping, like Organa Reye, right, and you have the chest, you can do it with your chest, right? Go ahead, do that, right? So there's never a wrong answer. You just need to make the decision that this is a type of startup you want to build. Look at Zoho today. Zoho is a bootstrap startup, right? They never took $1 or a penny from anybody, but today they are $1 billion company. You understand? And that also helps you as a startup. It means you keep 100% of your company. You are not sharing with anybody, right? Now, embracing failures and learning from challenges, we talked about that before, right? So it's an inherent part of entrepreneurship, right? It's essential to view it as a learning point, as an opportunity, rather than a setback, right? You need to continue to learn. You need to continue to iterate, right? By embracing failure, right, you learn from your challenges. You can iterate, improve your business continuously, right? And each setback brings you closer, right, to your
destination.
goal.
Yeah.
Right.
We have just about, I think, from what I'm saying, about 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So I think I will stop here so I can take questions.
Hello, Sonia. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. He was speaking about funding. If entrepreneurs needed to go out to get funding.
Okay, that's
this was following up of networking. Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I was talking about managing your finance, right? So you need to know if you need to raise funds. So we're talking about having a war chest, for example. If it's an heavily regulated industry, right, you need to be prepared, right, for a period where the regulators might come, right, and you might not make money for a while, or let's even assume that there's a price war in the industry. You need to know if you can absorb such losses, right, for a period of time.
Or incidents like COVID.
Exactly. For example, COVID, right? So I was talking about you can seek funding via angel investors, right, via venture capitalists, or you can choose to bootstrap, right? So bootstrapping simply mean not raising funds, just using your own funds, right, and just moving on. So I moved on to talking about embracing failure and learning from challenges, right? So failure is a part of your entrepreneurial journey, right? It's essential to view failure as a learning opportunity rather than a setback, right? And embracing failure and learning from your challenges, right, helps you iterate, right, improve your business continuously, right? Each setback can bring you closer, right, to your success, right? Now, the next point is celebrating your success, right? Now, when you win, right? For example, a lot of time, it's always going to be problems. But sometimes you win. That winning might be in terms of revenue, it's my main capturing a new market segment. It's my main launching a new product, right? Validating a new idea, right? Or obtaining product market fit, right? You need to learn to acknowledge those achievements, right? So while learning from failure is critical, celebrating your success is equally important, right? No matter how small, right? Acknowledge your progress and milestone along the way, right? Now, maintaining your innovation also is also key, right? Celebrating your success will help you maintain that level of motivation, right? Will enable you to continue to go, right? So, in conclusion, right, my personal journey as an entrepreneur in the tech space has also been filled with different challenges, right? I left Flutterwave 2020 feeling like, oh, we've solved the payment problem in Africa. Then working with a couple of financial institutions, I realized, oh, so consumers can block their card so that payments won't work, and they can move money from one account to another so that the tokenized cards will not work, right? It turns out that problem still exists, right? But in another form. You understand? So embracing that mindset and being open to learning, right, helped me in remaining an entrepreneur. Else, I would have said, oh, you know what? I'm going back to my 9 to 5, right? Nobody's sending me all this message, right? So solving problem has inspired me, right? For example, the problem you're currently solving is the problem of enabling every African individual and business to get access to credit, right? Now, as a citizen of an African country, you should have access to credit by default so that you can invest more in your business, so that you can also afford a better lifestyle for yourself, right? And that has kept me going. So the little win we have here and there in terms of customer numbers, in terms of revenue, in terms of unlocking a new business model, right, has motivated me in going on. And I hope that you too can experience the same, right? So I'm open to questions.
All right. Thank you so much. Just to reiterate one of the major things that Femi said without saying, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey. And that's one reason why you see that a lot of serious investors don't like investing in single founder businesses because they know that this thing is tough. Your mental state sometimes requires that you sit down. If you can cry. You sit down and cry with someone that both of you cry. I say, okay, so what do we do now? Because entrepreneurship is a tough journey. And another thing is that because it's a tough journey, when you go through the lows, add your eyes to celebrate them. So that when you are going to the next downturn, you remember that, but now we see. So you still remember the victories you've had some years. That those memories will help you to not be depressed and jump off Third Bridge. So thanks so much everybody for joining in. And I think this is time for questions. We started a bit late, so if we can start reading the questions. Chika, can you hear us, please?
Yes, question? I can hear you.
Is there any question in the chats, or anyone that wants to ask question can unmute and go ahead, please. Oh, you are in the house. Okay. All right. So you can just walk up to the mic so that they can hear you. Yes.
My question is, on this part that you said that it's not working.
Okay, we should move.
From my very little experience, I've noticed that if you say when it is hard, you have to move it. You end up doing a lot of things.
A lot of short. Okay.
Not really do
Anything.
How do we balance it? They say someone every
Tried 99 times.
How do we balance that? Say, even though it's not working, then how do you know that we still persist? You become resident or you just give up?
Okay, and did you guys hear the question he asked? Chika.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Please, do you mind taking it again?
Okay. Let me just recap the question. So the question he asked is that Femi said if it's not working, no matter the emotional and the financial, whatever you put in it, carry your bag and move. So he's asking that in the days of Thomas Edison, he tried like 99 times or 100 times before it worked the 100th time. That at what point, how do we strike that balance between I tested it, this didn't work, I moved on, and staying there and achieving nothing? Abi, that's the extreme of both sides. So, Mr. Femi.
All right. So, I started with idea, market, execution. So you have an idea, it's not working right now. As an entrepreneur, remember, okay, so I said something that financially, right, you might be strong. So if you are strong, you might choose to persevere. That means you are financially strong. But if your next meal depends on something working, you might want to drop it. You have to be realistic, right, with yourself if it's going to work. So again, back to idea, market, and execution. The idea might be a great idea. It might be fantastic, but the market might not be ready for it. Or you might be executing poorly.
And
right? So you need to be able to tell yourself the truth that, is it me? Is it the way I'm executing this? Am I executing it in the wrong way? Or do I need to gain some more knowledge? Right? Now, or is it the market? Is the market even big enough? Am I serving the consumers instead of, am I serving the lower class instead of the HNIs? Right? You need to know. So, and you need to come up with that conclusion that, okay, I'm going to pivot for now. And now, it doesn't mean you are running away. It might mean
adjustments.
You are putting this on the back burner for now. Right? While you work on those things, or you intensify effort on those things that are currently working for you. And then when the market is ready, or when you now have the experience to execute better, you can then go back to it.
Okay, and I want to add something. Femi is saying that I persevered all those stories. Because it's good to hear all sides of the story to get to details. One, I think I graduated from university quite young. Was I even up to 20 then or so, or maybe my early 20s. So there was no rent to pay, no wife to cater for, no child, no school fees, nothing. So those days you can afford to be. The risk appetite is higher. So you can't just say that so imagine if I had rent to pay, I had a car. Okay, I had a car. I think yes, just maybe a couple of years after school, I had to park the car because I couldn't afford to just fill in the car. So I was literally trekking from the incubator I was, the co-working space I was, to my house, to and fro, and I was happy with it because it was just part of the fun, and I wasn't the only one. So and that's where the community thing comes in. So there were a lot of startups there then that we all close and trek from Yaba to Surulere. So we all drop ourselves on the way while trekking. Bye-bye, Ojolegba is dropping off. It's not very cool, just walking off the train. I will trek to Ipori. But it was fun then because there was a community. We were young, we were agile, we don't know what the future holds. And so instead of just going out there and trying other things, and that's why we could have, or myself in my own story, I could have that resilience. So we should clarify it. So if you're coming from a 9 to 5, maybe you are already married, you already have 2 children, your salary is already about maybe 5 million naira a month, and you're trying out a new idea, and you had savings, right? Week 1, month 1, 0 income. Month 2, and for 0 income means that it's negative. There's usually no pure 0. So there's high tendency that you are the one burning cash from that savings you've kept. So no new income, expenses are constantly coming, especially with this new breathing that's required for everybody, both the rich and the poor. So you have to be very careful, and that's where the place of the spirit comes in, to know when to run and know when to pivot and know where to stay. So there's no hard and fast rule about it. You just have to check your gut feeling about it. Did you hear that? Any other question, please, Chika, or anybody in the house, please?
Yeah, someone's hand is raised. Okwiku Igodaro, his hand is raised. So do you mind unmuting yourself to ask your question?
Yes, okay. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
good evening.
So my question goes like this: how 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 do you do time management? Like for instance, now people that do 9 to 5 and you must be there physically, and you're doing entrepreneurship again at the same time. And let's say a customer calls you or you have a problem with your
Yeah, to
application.
work.
How do you solve that? Especially like for instance now, thank God I'm doing remote. Like I have somebody that somebody in uni like I'm going to meet on Thursday. But if I was not doing remote, I'll not be able to meet that person. How do you solve that problem if you're an entrepreneur? If you're an entrepreneur and doing 9 to 5 at the same
Do
time,
you want to attempt it
especially
first?
that. And I have two questions. Just do that first.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a 9 to 5, and then
How do you cope? How do you manage time?
you have your
Your side
own
also,
side
they are supposed to
hustle.
become a business.
FYI, one of them will suffer, right? But talking about time management, it's something you need to be really you need to learn. And the simple rule is this: especially as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of things to do, right? A lot of them would be super important. Some of them would be, yes, you have to do it simply because there's nobody to do it. Some of them you might need to delegate, right? If you have
Yeah.
people around you,
Yeah.
right? I was talking to one of my advisors recently, and the person was asking me, "Oh, Femi, don't you have a cousin that can help you with this?"
Mm.
Right? So it doesn't have to be your staff. It might just be a family member, right? Like, oh, just let me get all the emails for people that works here, right? Now, how do you know what to do now? What to delegate?
The one that you should prioritize immediately.
Right? What to delegate and what to do later. The what to do later, usually you might never get to do it. In most in most cases, right? So the way to do that is, now if you have a tax and the impact is high, so the impact is going to have on your business is high, the complexity is low, right? Those kind of tasks, you have to do it right now, immediately, right? Those are the things you do first, right? Now, I'm going back to 9 to 5 plus your entrepreneurship. If you use the impact and complexity, now, if your goal is to build a successful company, right? If there's a tax for your entrepreneurship projects, right? It's obviously a high impact tax, right? Now, executing it might be low, but executing your 9 to 5 might be complex. It's usually complex, right? Which means you are going to work on your entrepreneurship work.
But funny enough,
But 9 to 5 will suffer,
the 9 to
right?
5 at that point is his investor.
Yeah,
That's where funding is coming from.
exactly. That's where funding comes. So going back, so for you to know what to work on first, right? The impact needs to be high, complexity needs to be low, right? For you to know what you need to delegate, right? Impact needs to be high again. Perhaps complexity is high, right? That means it's going to take a lot of time for you to do. So you need somebody to just
Help
get
you.
on it for you while you are working on the high impact, low complexity, right? High impact, high complexity, somebody else is working on it. There's low impact, low complexity. Don't work on those ones, right? So that's the rule I follow personally, right? And that's what I advise my staff to also do. Did that answer your question?
That was exactly the same response I wanted to give. I wanted to say that you should multiply yourself.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Multiply yourself.
Okay.
Find people that are passionate like you, and so those persons can be doing other things while you work on some other parts of the business.
Yes. I already. I wanted to say that yes, I already have that already.
Okay.
But like for instance, now you said most, like you said when you were discussing about the topic, you said most investors do not like to invest on people's one
Yes, that's
one person.
yeah, single founder.
Mr. Larry, yes, Mr. Larry knows that be one person founder.
Okay.
He's attacking me like
funny enough, I thought
like
you have co-founder.
no, like he's attacking me like like he even mentioned that he wants to make something like Zoom. It was if he was just attacking me like Mr. Larry knows that.
That's true. I think he has a streaming service.
I think
like it was as if he was attacking me like literally. I was like, what is happening here? What is this? What is this?
Sorry, it's just part of the conversation. So it's not like a single founder business can't survive, but it's harder. So it's just like as an adult living alone. It's not like you will die living alone, but it's easier to live with a partner. But when you're living with a partner, I know it comes with its own challenges too. There are some complexities that comes with it. There will be conflicts. There will be time management, resource management. One person believe that let us blow. Another person say calm down, don't let us spend. And that happens in business. And when those kind of things come up, who will make the final decision? How can your board control those kind of conversations? So it's also has its own complexity, but it's easier. So it's better you have bigger problems and bigger solutions. But when you're alone, it can become a downward spiral. So you just nobody to talk to, you don't have a community you go to, you don't have friends. And funny enough, it's very sad if you're in a family where there are fewer entrepreneurs. Because there's no way you can explain it, and they will still look at it like
that jobless person.
Drop it now if it's not working. So they can't relate with you. So it's better you have somebody that is there all the while so that you can fight the battles together. So that's my own advice on that.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's not a bad thing being a solo founder, right? I started as a solo founder. I started as a solo founder, right? Then later on, I upgraded someone to be a co-founder, right? So it's really not. But if you are going to take investor money, most investors will want you to have a co-founder. But if you can demonstrate
that you have the capacity,
that you are the next best thing after
sliced bread,
right, or fried rice or jollof rice, right? I mean, if you can sell yourself, I mean, yes, you're still going to get the money. So it's still, and you can demonstrate that you can execute. The main thing here is execution, right? And it might just mean that you go out there, you hire really competent people, right? The question you really want to answer is this: can you execute? Do you have people who can execute this with good experience? Or if you hire top talent, right, you shouldn't have issues with investors.
All right. So any other question there? Are we good? So Femi, I have a question for you. I know you wouldn't want to say this on air, but I don't want to put you on the spot too. So you can dodge the question. So I'm giving that option ahead. All right. So in your journey, your transition, did any of your 9-to-5 companies you worked in, did they invest in any of your businesses? And what did they see that made them go ahead and say, okay, Femi, we can back you? Is it that you were so good when you were working with them, or you didn't break code, or you didn't scatter?
Okay, so I mentioned something that you have to be a good follower. Right? Being a good follower means you are able to create some track record with both your colleagues, right? So that means you are not an asshole to your co-workers, and you are also the top guy or top lady, right? The go-to person whenever there is a problem for your CEO, right? So that will help you in terms of raising funds from your existing network, which is usually your employer, right? So, yes, I have a couple of ex-bosses who invested in my products, in my startup, right? So, yes, that happened. But in order for you to do that, right, you can't be somebody who is fighting everybody or who is not consistent, right? Yeah. Who has not achieved a thing. Right, and then expect such commitment from people you work with.
So you shouldn't leave the door and shut the door.
I mean,
because part of what people talk about when they want to move from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship is those aspire. fire your boss, be your own boss today. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Like, okay, no, salary is what they keep paying you, not to see your vision. It's just over broke.
No.
Job is this and that. And you two had all those motivation, and you're like, yes, it's time to fire my boss. I told him, like, okay, don't ever in your life.
No, that doesn't work, right? Just think of it as continuous networking. You are building network everywhere you're going. You are building a network, right? Your existing employment, you are building a network there. Your co-worker can be
your next investor.
CEO,
Yeah,
right? You need to be able to say yes. So even if the person is not a successful CEO, might be the next chief imam of Lagos State, right? Might be the next president. You don't know. Might be the next king somewhere, right? That's your network. That's all you have, to be honest, right? So the more you build that, the better for you. The easier it will be, because if you want to raise money, right, you go to your existing people. If you need an advisory board, you go to people you work with
that you can,
right? Yeah,
that
that's
can
the way
be
it works.
liable to. So I have another addition. So sometimes, let's say, I think it happens to a lot of developers. You can see that you're a beautiful coder. You can code any product and the likes. And at some point in your 9 to 5, you discover that after God, it's me that's making this business run.
Yeah.
So I want to move. I want to go and start my own. Until there you started your own. They discovered that, okay, the cost of your laptop is X amount. The cost of internet is Y amount.
Yeah.
There's office space. Then you discover that why you were so excellent at your job was because other people were doing some other things. Other people were doing some other things that makes your job look like, oh, I'm so good at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They discovered that, oh, now you have to think of diesel. That was not part of it. That was not. So your creativity then was because there was less noise in the background of your mind. I tell people that one reason why you see businesses paying some roles heavily is not because they just want to spend. It's because they want to reduce the background noise in your life so that you can focus on what is productive. So if a business is paying you, let's say, $5 million a month, they don't expect you to say, on my way coming to work, sorry, my car broke down. If you get my point, it is not correlating.
Oh, my internet has issues.
Or my internet. So I tell people that it's a very dicey conversation. And when some person said, okay, everybody's doing remote work, you are paying your staff 50,000. I said, as a developer, I say, go remote. After that 50,000, I want him to buy fuel to power his generator. He will buy data. How many gig can you buy out of 50,000? And he will still eat. He still needs a good laptop that make sure that when he's trying to build your app or he's trying to render or you just open App Studio, the system is frozen.
Yeah.
So I tell people that you don't carry those things hook, line, and sinker. You look at your own business. Your business is unique to you. You get all the parameters from outside. Then you combine it and make your own decision for your business. So I hope somebody gets some sense out of that. Any other question before we wrap up? We have just about 15 minutes to the end of the program today.
One more question here from Sunday. He wants to know, as an entrepreneur, at what point in your business do you need to start raising funds? And is there a specific process or requirement in raising funds?
Oh, we discussed this with Atinuke last session. It was all about fundraising, and we even shared some resources in the group. But Femi also touched on it that sometimes some businesses you don't really need to raise funds to start. Do your MVP, test your idea, and sometimes your fund will come from customers. Although I think most times customers' money is the best money.
Yeah.
But it's just that the customer base might not grow as fast as you want to scale. So you might want to quickly win the market, then let the customers catch up. That's when you need to raise money. And okay, let me use a very funny example. If if you're trying to be a singer, a louder microphone or sound system doesn't improve the quality of your voice. Why not sing with your earpiece first and play it back and listen in your room first? Okay, all right. This is what I'm like. Before you go on the stage like the video and call 200,000 people and turn on the microphone and the loudspeakers and start singing. That's one of the mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make. So that stage is like you are standing on investors' funds. You are now on top of the world. What will you do? What can you sustain that? So if you cannot win your battle locally in a small scale, why raise funds and try to start on the large scale? If you are, for example, you might even be a beautiful musician, but you are singing the wrong song in a kind of environment. Why do you think a lot of hip hop artists, sorry I'm debating a little, a lot of them started making it when they relocated to Lagos? If you look at the early 2000s, a whole lot of them, even the ones that were in the north, they relocated to Lagos, and that's where they started having some traction because the media was there, the population was there. A lot of things were ready available in the market. So it can be beautifully solving your problem, but in the wrong space.
Yeah.
So imagine if you raise funds, then you get a big show, and you are in the middle of a Sambisa forest, and you start singing and you expect people to come. So you would decide, you would know at some point that this is the point where I have figured it out. I now know the buttons to adjust to make it go faster, but there's no gas in the vehicle. So now let me go out and get external funds. And even when you are talking to investors too will know that you are not ready. A very good investor will know that your business is not ready for. Sometimes they tell, oh, beautiful idea, I love it, but come back in the next 1 year. Just let us keep chatting. Just stay in touch. So you will know. And there are different kinds of funding. At the early stage when you're testing the idea, I would just advise you, talk to friends and family. Look for angel investors. Most times, and for a non-experienced entrepreneur, I always advise, never start a startup that is capital intensive. Especially if you're starting a startup and it's fabrication, you want to go in first. And to be the MVP, myself and Femi, we're having some funny conversations, some new trends we are trying to work on. And to be the MVP, your MVP is 100 million. Then you know there's something wrong, because you need to put 100 million naira down to know if you pass or fail. Then that's a very dangerous. So before you can go to such businesses, you should have maybe won some battles. You should have had some experience with business building. Maybe you're coming from a different industry and you have the capital, you have the cash. And you have people that say that, if it is Femi, don't worry, take my money. Because that is track record. So that is even way more than cash. So I hope I'm able to answer your question. There's a time and season you will know that it's time to scale. So you don't go to the wrong person at the right time or the right person at the wrong time. So you don't talk to a VC when your idea is you're still trying to figure it out. So let me put it like that. Yeah.
So let me add a little bit to that, right? So there are some startups that you can start without raising funds, right? A lot of tech startups right now, especially fintech, you don't need to raise money to start. There are APIs out there that you can consume.
Just combine them.
Right? A lot of people have done this in the past, right? It's out there, right? Now, if you are going into ad tech, you definitely need money.
Yeah.
Right? But before you raise money, you have to know. You have to, again, idea, market, execution. You need to know the market. You need to know your execution style. That means you've come up with a formula, right? I see it as a formula. If I do this happens. If I talk to this customer, I make this. If I spend this, I get this, right? You need to know, okay, if I lose money here, the revenue from here will cover it up. So that means if I put, let's say, 10 million naira in, I'm going to make, let's say, 4% of that 10 million as revenue. Then you can put in more money because you know.
And you've tested it over and over again.
Exactly.
Not that this first time. You've done that like maybe 20 times. That every time you put 1 million, you get 400k.
Exactly.
1 million for you've done it over and over.
Now you can raise money and say, I want to raise 1 billion naira. And you know that with that 1 billion, you are getting a certain amount of money. It's guaranteed in a way, right? That's how you.
And there's a
raise.
market waiting
And
for
there's
it.
a market waiting for it. You know your market. You know how to sell it. You know the marketing strategy, everything. Now, if it is ad tech, it is as easy as just go and sell your products, right? Because if you wait to build the products before you start validating the market, you might launch that product and might not be successful. So just go and sell it to your target customers, right? See if they are going to buy, right? At least get a letter of intention, right? LOI from them to say, oh yes, we wish to buy the 3 new Olufemi cameras, right? Or 100 Olufemi cameras, right?
Okay.
Get it, right? With that LOI, it shows you that there is a market, and this is the type of people the customer said that wants to buy this. So, which means if I should raise X amount, I already
know
have
where
a
to put it.
demand,
Yeah.
right? And instantly you are turning that money over, right? And you are making that's how it works. That's how it should be. Don't raise money because everybody is raising money.
Yeah.
Right? Raise money because you have a plan and you know the plan. It's almost like a formula. Like this thing is science, right?
And raising money is not free money, so you know.
Yeah, it's not free.
It's not free money. All right. Any other question? We have about 7 minutes to round up.
I think that'll be all, because we don't have any other questions.
Okay. Thanks so much. And thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Femi, for coming. Really appreciate turning up like this. But in a closing remark, because I said this when we're starting an introduction, that we are not saying it's good to jump from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, and we're not saying it's bad to jump from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. So we are just showing you the road signs that yes, it's a journey, and these are the more like the guidelines along that journey. So if somebody tells you that, okay, from going between Lagos to Ibadan, I think a lot of us will have applied that road, and they've told you ahead that, oh, if you want to go through that road, you spend 2 hours at Kara. You know, then you ask yourself that what I'm going to get at Ibadan, is it really worth me waiting to? Is it very important, very urgent, that will make me wait 2-3 hours in traffic at Kara because there's construction? And that way, when you prepare your mind for that kind of journey, it's easier than you driving in without any prior information, then you hit the traffic. In fact, you'll have packed your own puff, your own bread, your, like I said, from the beginning of the journey. You are already prepared because you are armed with information, compared to you just getting and tell, entrepreneurship is happening in Ibadan, then you enter your car and start the entrepreneurship journey, then just hit traffic. I'm like, they didn't tell me this is how terrible it is. And maybe you have your first flat tire on the on the highway. You will be perplexed, like, what's going on? What is this? But when an experienced driver told, when you have the flat tire, don't do this, don't slam your brake, do this, don't do that. When it happens, you just gently, because you are already informed about it. So I hope we'll be able to just give you the highlight. So we're not saying that it's bad on the other side. In fact, it's sweet. Let us live on a good note. It's sweet because you see yourself birthing things. You see an idea from your mind become a reality. You see concepts from your mind. And one of the biggest satisfaction of any entrepreneur is to see their solution and ideas solving real problems and impacts, and see people giving them that feedback. It's worth more than money. So it's not about the money you make. Yes, you make money because you're solving real problems, but the impact you're making in people's lives would really be that's what will keep you going. Even in those very bad moments, it will keep you going. And sometimes those bad moments, some customers will now come and hit your head deeper into the hole. So that's why I said I celebrate those victories. And in a nutshell, we wish to have a whole lot more. That's why we have this tech entrepreneurs community. So you can reach out. For example, Chika is a people person. I know she can hear me. she can help you find the right the right set of people to make your business work. And so that's why we have communities like this. You need to be close to a community. You need to talk to people. And that problem you are seeing as a problem, someone will just sit and laugh and be like, oh my God, this is part of it. Because they've been there and oh no, just do this. And that thing that was a big problem is just solved. So we are advising you, when you're starting your business, you won't from day one go and rent 1,000 square meters of office space and print nice ID cards, buy central unit AC because you have money. Why you don't even figure out your market? So solve the real problem, validate the problem, and we will welcome you open-hearted, open arms, and welcome to the entrepreneurship journey. Thank you so much, Femi. And how has the journey been? 2 years in. So me, I just like 10, 11 years. So how's your own?
It's been great, right? Just that the downs take longer than the ups.
It's season. I told you that it's the beginning. It's the beginning.
Like
so at the beginning,
ending, right?
You
and
still
then
have the
you get in that up time, right? You enjoy it for a while.
And when you are feeling like you're stable, an employee just tells you.
Yeah. So the way I see it is this. I feel like whenever you feel you want to do more, right? That's when you go into that down period, because you try something new and everything just
when you're tired of that status quo and you want to try to push to the next level,
it to the next level, right?
Then you feel that resistance.
Then you just feel that resistance, right? It doesn't work, right? It eats you, right? But you just need to push, right? And then suddenly it works.
Yes.
And then
because you keep pushing.
You are really happy, but because I wanted to say because something is wrong with you, right? You feel like, yes, we should do more, right? And then you do more again and it stops working.
So as an entrepreneur, you are not normal.
Like it's because you are not normal.
You can't want to be normal.
You just feel like, yeah, let's do more. Let's add 2 zeros to these things. And then it's not working again.
It's almost like everything you knew is not working again.
Exactly. It just feels like it's not. Even going back to what was working previously, it's not working anymore. Right? So you just need to continue to that resilience needs to be there. That mindset, like you need to be dogged somehow, right? You just need to be strong, right? Because you always know it's going to work eventually, but it might take time. But like I said, sometimes it takes a while. That downtime takes some time, right?
They call it the depth of sorrow, something like that. No, that startup graph.
Oh yeah, that's
that initial excitement. Yes. Then you go down.
Exactly. Then it goes up.
Then plateaus.
Then it goes up more than the previous
up. Yeah.
Right.
Then
you try something new. Then it goes down again.
Yeah.
Right.
And at some point to now balance out.
Then it balances out.
So it might take like 10 years. Might be 5 years, might be 10 years. So just stay on the journey. Thank you so much, everybody. And who can give us a closing prayer so that we can get insights and God will tell us when to stay and when to run. Who can pray for us? Let me suggest someone from the Femi, please nominate someone from the meeting. Okay, there's Tolu Oguneye. All right, so Tolu, please give us closing prayer. Can you unmute yourself? I think that name is familiar. Who else?
Hello, Mr. Lai, you put me on the spot.
Okay, it's you. All right, please give us a closing prayer. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Father, we thank you for an opportunity to learn. Thank you for the spirit of wisdom that is at play. Thank you for all that we have learned today.
Thank you, Jesus.
Father, we ask that you direct our hearts to be able to apply our hearts to wisdom in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
And we pray that as many that want to take actions, give them the courage, the wisdom that is needed, be able to take the right actions.
Yes.
And that the learning that we have received today will be able to bear fruit with it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you, Heavenly Father.
Thank you.
In Jesus' name we've prayed.
Amen. Thanks so much, everyone. So till we see you next week, stay in touch and talk to somebody, talk to people, share your ideas, and God bless you. See you on the other side of entrepreneurship. Thank you.